Is that a Rosso Corsa bumper on a Rosso Scuderia car? Well, hello one and all, welcome to Seeing Through Glass. Welcome to the ever spectacular DK Engineering. In today's video, I want to give you a bit of an update on my Ferrari 360 Challenge Stradale, because since winning the car at auction last year, took it down to AV Engineering to have it inspected, did about £5,000 worth of kind of essential mechanical work to get it road trip ready, because I then did a 1,000-mile adventure through Europe to Luxembourg, down to Paris, then back up to the UK. And it means, well, as of today, I feel like I've really got a good understanding of what I ended up buying. It has exceeded every expectation. I am so happy, but it does still need quite a bit of work. As Aldous pointed out when we did that inspection, mechanically, there's a few things that we wanted to do, but also aesthetically, there's some things that I want to do because, well, I bought the car relatively blind, winning it at auction. So yes, first stop today is here at DK Engineering, because you might remember that I bought my 316 Modena here quite a few years ago for a bit of a sympathetic restoration of the interior and some other components. And I wanted to have a chat with the team here about whether they could do some similar work to my new car. But before we do that, I'm going to enjoy my very good coffee. I'm going to have a look around at some of the stock because, well, as you can see behind me, it's always quite ludicrous down here. So I've got to start here, because if you know me at all, you'll know I am Michael Schumacher obsessed. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I post a story about Schumacher pretty much every day. And this right here is Michael Schumacher's first F1 car, at least the first F1 car he drove during a Grand Prix weekend. It is the Jordan 191 from the 1991 Spa Grand Prix. I'm freaking out. Now, of course, I arrived here a few hours ago, and so I've seen this car already, but when I walked into this showroom for the first time, I lost the plot. I'm actually embarrassed by my reaction, because I was like, what on earth? As I say, I'm obsessed with this man. He is my hero. I think about him, well, far too much, actually, probably every hour. And this is where it all began. This is his origin story, the iconic 7-Up liveried Jordan. This is what put him on the map. Free practice session, went way too fast for an unheard of rookie, or a relatively unheard of rookie, and, well, catapulted his career. And I'm standing, hold on a sec, I'm touching it, I just touched it, I can smell it, hold on. Schumacher's rubber. I mean, it might not, actually, there's probably newer tyres on there, but who cares? I actually don't want to do anything else today. I don't really care about my Challenge style anymore. I don't even care about other cars. I just want to stand here and stare at this thing. Oh my God, this is peak. Moving on, check out this F50, which might look like just a normal F50, but this is actually like a pre-production or prototype car. So before the run of 349 F50s, they made, I think, like 19 of these cars that were to check like sort of fabric things. And it's not like a crash test car, it's just like a validation car, you might call it. So super cool to see, pretty rare and insanely valuable. People go nuts for F50s at the moment. For me, not as special as the Enzo. When I was growing up, this was the hypercar from Ferrari, and look, it's not necessarily that great in comparison to even other cars that were out at the time, but I don't care. It's so special. This is like one of 6 in Grigio titanium, grey, essentially. Lovely to see. As is this Singer DLS. I feel like the last few times I've been down here at DK, they've had a Singer DLS for sale. This one, green with the tan interior. I've never experienced a Singer from the passenger seat or behind the driver's wheel. I'd really like to. But one thing which I can tell you is they are stunningly put together. It's immaculate. It's almost like a design concept. You can't believe this is a finished product. And it actually worries me that, well, the driving experience couldn't live up to just how beautiful this thing is. It is a stunning bit of kit. And yeah, these 3 cars, well, I don't know if they're the most valuable in here, but they've got to be close to it. The one I'm walking away with, it's got to be the Enzo. Oh, just look at this thing. After getting distracted by far too many of the cars knocking around at DK, including a stunning 550 Barchetta, I finally made my way to the kind of parts department to chat with Alex. Now, the main thing I wanted to discuss was refurbishing the sticky buttons in the CS, something my 316 Modena suffered from and something that all Italian cars from this period are plagued with. Now, if you remember, it cost me £4,000 to do all the switches and all the buttons in my Modena. But I don't think that the CS is in as bad a shape as my Modena was. However, there are some gearbox buttons, which I didn't have in my old car, that look almost beyond repair. So we basically chatted through the various options and what the best plan of action was. Alex did also try and tempt me into some other things that could be done whilst the dash and buttons were out, but I think we'll save that for another time. Okay, mission 1 of the day complete. Should be getting a fairly big old quote from DK Engineering in the weeks ahead, and I can decide when I want to do some of these kind of cosmetic bits. Next up on the list, sound system, something I mentioned when I revealed this car for the first time on the channel. I definitely want to improve what we've got. It was an optional extra to have a sound system in a Challenge Stradale, but obviously in the last 20 years, technology, speaker technology, hi-fi technology, etc., it's all moved forward so much. So I just think there's something that we can do just to, make listening to music and podcasts a bit better for me on road trips. So we're going to go about 25 minutes down the road to have to chat to somebody about, what our options are. You know you come to the right place when you spend most of the time admiring the stuff in the car park before having it done. That is so nice. 996 Turbo S in immaculate condition. What a two-car garage. This is Car Audio Security, which is based in North London, and it really is the home of all things car audio. I had a few friends recommend I head here. The challenge I set for the team when I got there was that, I want to improve the audio setup in my car, but I don't want to cut any additional holes for speakers, I don't want to add any boxes or housing for new subwoofers, and ideally I want Apple CarPlay. All of that whilst giving the look and feel of a 20-year-old stripped-out Ferrari interior. So after we chatted through a few of the limited options, we went out to the car to test the existing system.
Yeah, so they've obviously replaced that for a full range speaker rather than just the woofer, and that's still passive radio because there's no sound coming out of that, but I guess that just gives you that little bit of depth.
So there is basically no sub in this car?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, basically.
Tweeters in the front.
But because it's enclosed, you get that kind of little
kick
to it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and nothing.
It's not too bad actually.
It's not actually not awful. So that's why I was like, just enhance it a bit and then make this more usable. I mean, I'm sure I could just Bluetooth and stuff, but the amount I travel, it'd be nice to have CarPlay.
I mean, maybe what we can do then is just put the single speaker in here. Don't change this one. Leave it as the passive radiator so that you do still get that little bit more of a kick.
Sure.
And then obviously replace the tweeters. It might be a case of trial and error.
Okay.
We'll see what works, because obviously when you buy a set of speakers, it comes as a pair anyway.
Sure.
So we can always drop 2 in there, see how it sounds, and then put the passive back in, see how it sounds.
If I was to say to you, don't worry about the CarPlay, is there a unit which you're like, this will make such a big difference, or this would be great, or it doesn't really make any difference?
So what's the main kind of spec that you would want? Is it just going to be Bluetooth streaming mainly?
Yes.
Okay. So Sony do quite a good singled in stereo, which rather than you having to fit an amp, separate amp, it has a more powerful built-in amplifier.
Okay.
So it gives you more power to the speakers without having to do anything crazy with it. So that might be a good option. But yeah, it is just purely Bluetooth streaming and like normal FM radio. Yeah,
I mean, because there's an element which is like, I spent 7 years with a Modena, so a standard version, and I just used a windscreen mount. And I'm like, am I overcomplicating it if we start doing the screen? Because now I'm sitting here thinking about that Pioneer screen, it is going to come up to sort of here-ish, isn't it? Realistically.
Yeah, it's about that big.
Yeah. So I'm like, am I trying to solve an issue which can't be solved type thing? And actually, are we going to be better off in terms of audio by having something which is... Have you got a Sony one? Have you got that here?
I have a similar one on display. I don't have the exact model, but it looks the same.
Maybe it's worth including that in the thoughts.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I can think in my head what I'm more prepared to put up with.
That's fine.
Okay, awesome, mate. Thank you. You know, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I question whether one of those pop-out screens or having a screen at all in this car would be right. It just kind of feels a bit off to me. Too un-OEM. I'm a big OEM fan, you know, with my Modena it was all OEM plus, and yeah, just especially if it's going to block the air conditioning vents, so I'm leaning more towards having a sort of high quality singled in kind of head unit that is going to help power all this audio. It's food for thought. The guy's going to send me across a couple of options. Apparently it's only a day and a half for the install, so it's just about availability and getting the car booked in really. But yeah, I feel like maybe I'm just going to have to commit to the windscreen mounts for a bit longer, the phone mounts. I did have one idea, which was to somehow engineer something on one of these air conditioning vents. I've got 5 vents in here, the 3 in the middle. I think one of them, if I could kind of build something which was like a permanent mount for the phone, that feels like an interesting option. Anyway, final stop today, maybe the most important, definitely the most expensive, paint. Because yes, this car does require quite a lot of paint / bodywork. More on that when we get to Hilton and Moss. Well, welcome to Hilton and Moss. This place is scarily impressive. It's huge, like it goes on forever. One day I need to do like a full tour of this place to show you everything that's happening. I think I'm right in saying it's the largest independent body shop or coachworks or repair shop in the UK. They're doing work for the Volkswagen Group and loads of sort of manufacturers, and then also doing all the restorations for classic cars and things like this. Is their showroom. It's full of amazing classics and modern classics. I'll give you a tour in a second. But I've literally just handed my car straight over to the team for it to kind of be assessed. Because yeah, I found out pretty quickly, especially when the car went down to Audit AV, that well, there is going to need to be some body work done or some paint done to that car, because it's got a few bits of corrosion in the wheel arch, on the door, underneath the bonnet. Also, I don't know if you remember, the front bumper was kind of misaligned. There was something weird going on there that we wanted to figure out. I've also discovered that maybe my car has a hidden past because there's something else wrong with that front bumper that maybe some of you have spotted. But I've also asked them to kind of price up like a bigger job, because if I'm going to start, you know, peeling back the paint and fixing elements of corrosion and then blending in more paint, well, is the opportunity there to change some things up or do some more work. It's got the creative juices flowing. I won't say too much more for now. Let's check out the cars in the showroom, wait for the inspection to be done, and then we can chat more about my ideas or plans for paint, colour, bodywork, my chat Stradale. Now, it's definitely worth coming down here if you're into your Lotuses, but I actually want to come over here, check out some Aston Martins, and especially this Vanquish at the end, because this is a Vanquish S Ultimate Edition. Okay, close to 200 grand, so all the money, but this was the last run of the Vanquish, which I absolutely love. It's got some really interesting details on it, this car, including, look at that, the kind of Vanquish S Ultimate badge on Monaco, and what would you call that, a carbon fibre side grille. You've got the sort of heritage badge up front, which kind of looks aged, which I think is awesome. Some unique details on the interior as well as these kind of like side stripes or decals. Look at the calipers matching. I think it's like a sort of emerald green metallic. It's a pretty wild spec, but pretty damn cool and very elegant to see. Check this out, on the showroom floor, essentially a barn find or abandoned E-Type. This is here because a big part of what these guys do are full nut and bolt restorations of classic cars, and this is kind of like a donor car, a ready to go donor car that you could basically do what you want with. Come look at the price. 60, well, just under 66 grand, which you might think is insane for this kind of condition car, but it's not when it can turn out to be the ultimate full nut and bolt restored E-Type that then is worth, what, close to 200 grand? So yeah, it's kind of cool that you can walk in here and pick out your donor that then may eventually become something stunning like this car over here. Here's another rust bucket, we could say. Maybe it's in a slightly better condition, I'm not sure. This would just terrify a lot of people if they saw a car like this, but actually if you're in this sort of world, if you want to do big restorations, this is very exciting. We've also got Aston's sort of, you know, donor cars ready to go. I mean, that's really just the shell, and you can eventually turn it into into something like this. So it's such a cool and different experience of coming down to a workshop or showroom like this, where you can see the kind of beginnings and then the finishings of a project. But yeah, this space is just amazing. Come here, we're looking back down over the main showroom floor below. Now, I told you all this place is massive, and I wasn't lying, because we've now come upstairs to the in-house storage facility. It just goes on and on and on, and the lovely William is here to talk me through what he and his team have discovered is wrong with my car. Now, some of the stuff I already knew about, the corrosion, etc., the fact that maybe something weird going on with this front bumper, but I'm judging by your face and that clipboard you're carrying that maybe you've discovered a few other things. So look, talk to me. What am I dealing with here? What have you found on the car?
Yes, no worries. So, I mean, fundamentally, it's very much of the era. You know, It's had a life, it's been used, it's been driven. So it's, you know, it's got a few little bits here and there.
Yeah, signs of casual wear and tear. We're not against that.
Nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about. I'm holding you to that.
Now let's go for the list.
Except the huge clipboard you're carrying.
No, it's good. It's good. It's a straight car. It's a true car. I think it's an honest car as well. Is the truth of it. You know, there are some little bits, and I think if you're a perfectionist, you're gonna cringe the more I go through the list. But it's a good car.
Okay, so the things that I knew about. So let's start off with the corrosion. I believed the most serious was in the wheel arch there. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yeah. I mean, working front to back. I mean, you've got corrosion on all four wheel arches.
Ah, okay. Cool. Thumbs up.
All four. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just for Ferraris. It's pretty common. We deal with it every day, you know, and it's become maintenance on these really to look after them and keep on top of it.
So it's not terrifying. What you're saying, you're not thinking, oh my god, that car's going to end up like what's called a cheese cut? No, a cheese grater in a second. That's not what you're seeing.
No, not
okay.
No, it's not. It's usual stuff, and actually, it's not really that bad. We've seen a lot worse. I think what we've got in some of the areas as we'll walk around is people have tried to fix it before. It is quite hard to get it to go away, not come back. You've got to do it properly, and you've got to do it once. But I think over the years, as these cars got more and more valuable, it's worth spending the money to fix it properly now.
Sure, fair enough. Okay, there was also some other sort of weird bits of corrosion on the door, under that mirror there.
Yeah, so I guess corrosion-wise, I mean, under the bonnet, so the bonnet has got a folded seam on the bottom of it, and water can pool in the channel, sometimes causes it to rust. I've not seen it that commonly, but you've got rust on the underside of your bonnet. The top side's good, and it's just starting to curl over in the top corner here. We've also got a little bit of rust coming through on the door, which is quite common again on these. Nothing to worry about, similar to the wheel arches. It's just the elements and the age of the car really.
And all of this stuff is relatively easy to fix. And I mean, the bonnet, that sounds a bit scary. So is that like a whole bonnet replacement, or you can actually attack those elements of corrosion?
But the truth is, you can go as far as you want to. Yeah, okay. You can definitely repair it. You can definitely get the corrosion out. But with the seam and the way it's folded, it is a tricky job, and you've got to know what you're doing. But I think lots of people see corrosion, they see, you know, rust on steel cars, and everyone gets scared. Because as long as you know what you're doing and you catch it at the right time, you know, and with the age of this car, it's common stuff really.
Okay, fair enough. Well, my next concern was this front bumper, because for me, firstly, it always looked a bit misaligned, and Aldous, the guy I used to maintain this car, also agreed that it was a bit off. And then with time, I started to think, is it even the right colour? So did you know? I started to think, is that a Rosso Corsa bumper on a Rosso Scuderia car? Or have I made that up?
It's hard to tell. I think it's definitely been off. I mean, there's some telltale signs. The corners of the bumpers have got a little bit of damage that's been painted over. It's definitely been off. Something's definitely gone on the front end.
Definitely.
Until we're doing the strip down, you can't tell. But it's not the colour of the car.
No, there's definitely... It's hard to notice. I can try and pick it up in these lights here, but you really have to stare at the car for quite some time, which obviously I've been doing.
So are we now.
Yeah, and there's just something not quite right about that front bumper. So I agree. I feel like maybe when it comes off, we might discover that at some point it's had a ding, a dent, a bash. Yeah. Who knows?
It's either Scuderia or it's just a really bad colour match.
Fine.
One of the two. But also in the channel of the bonnet, which is also black, where the bonnet closes down into, the paint I'm not sure is original either.
Okay.
It's tricky. It's an Italian car. You know, they were a little bit Italian, but it doesn't look original under there, which would suggest something's happened at the front, potentially a new bumper, if not a repaired bumper and a repaired front end. Okay, so from your estimations, the car's just had bits of paint here and there over the years, at least at the front end. All ends. Okay. Interesting. But once again, I think so. We've got there's a blow-in across the top of the wing here, which is always going to be hard to show on camera with the light. There's a blow-in across actually both front wings, and there's a blow-in again across both the rear quarters. Now I think, like I say, the rust was meant to be repaired again. Didn't last, and it would have been a blowing down the car to get the colour match. Because actually the colour match over the vast majority of the car is pretty good.
Sure.
But that's because it's been lacquered off. It's been lacquered all the way around the back. We've got small lacquer runs in the boot.
Okay.
We've got some silicones in your stripe as well, which is like contamination in the paint.
So that's because that's a factory painted stripe, well, supposedly. That's what I was told. So that's underneath the lacquer. So at some point it's had some paint, people have just lacquered over multiple times.
And on the front as well, we've got, I would agree, it's definitely the original stripe. There's some chips in the stripe from general driving, and then someone's lacquered over,
lacquered over the chips on the stripe.
Yeah, they didn't want to touch the original stripe, so just a bit of lacquer over the top.
Okay. So, well, what I'm understanding, how much longer is your list, by the way?
To be honest, we've covered most of it, is the truth of it. I mean, it's lots of little age-related, just general use. It's going to have had a couple of little knocks, over its life. So I think I could go through the list, but it's all similar stuff. Okay.
So, of any of this stuff, is any of it like, stop driving the car, we need to fix it immediately kind of stuff?
Definitely not.
Fine.
Everyone would have you believe that corrosion is a deal breaker and the car's a write-off, but it's not true. It's unlikely to get horrendously worse.
Okay,
immediately. That's
definitely encouraging. I suppose my next question is, and this is literally just sort of popped into my brain, but I did obviously ask you guys to think about it and assess it anyway. If we're going to be doing all of this kind of work around the car, you mentioned all four of the arches, probably the bonnet, the bits on the doors, how much further do we need to go to then just like literally repaint the whole car?
Well, the truth is, if you're doing all the little areas, you're going to paint 2/3 of the car, if not more anyway. So you're then verging on a lot of preparation over the car to, not respray the whole thing. So you're not far off, is the truth of it. By the time, if you're going for perfect.
Food for thought there, sir. Food for thought. Well, okay. Thank you very much. Let's go through your list off camera a little bit more detail and look at those costs. But I can't decide if that's good or bad news. But either way, I massively appreciate it. We'll work out a plan. I mean, it does look fantastic like this. I don't think there's a thing wrong with it. But I'll catch up with you in a moment once we've stopped filming. Well, what incredibly nice people. Look at this, the sun has come out. Who would have thought it? Now, I really feel like I'm in safe hands with those guys because once the camera stopped rolling, we went through the list in detail. They just spotted so much, nothing really of concern, but for example, one of my scooter rear shields is just lifting ever so slightly. Some of these rubber seals around the windows and the windscreen, actually something that Orders pointed out, just haven't been fitted correctly, that need to be corrected. All this kind of stuff, which just adds up to being an annoying amount of work. Nothing particularly essential, but stuff that I am going to want to get done. This is the thing with buying a car relatively blind from auction. It's always going to have a bit of a hidden past, things that you don't know about, and the fact this car's had quite a bit of paint in the past doesn't really surprise me. All Ferraris of this age kind of have had that amount of paint, because people just touch them up, things go wrong. It really doesn't fuss me, but because it's going to mean that the car's going to need to go off the road for quite a bit of time, even if I'm just going to do this sort of small patch-up work, it's going to need quite a lot of work. And then considering what else we've learned today, i.e. if I want to change all the sticky buttons, replace or repair them, all the dash has got to come out, the centre console's got to come out, even to upgrade the sound system, even though that's only going to take a day and a half or so, it's all just time. It's making me think more and more, maybe I should just wait, continue to get this car kind of perfect mechanically, work with the Orders and Navy engineering to iron out any issues, not that there seem to be many more at this stage, but do the small things that I want to do, like the ECU tune, and just finesse the setup and learn how to get the most out of it. And then maybe in the winter I can then decide to kind of attack it aesthetically, because yeah, as we were just saying, if I'm going to do so much to kind of tackle this corrosion, if I'm going to be repainting 2/3 of the car, I might as well repaint the whole thing. And then that opens up the debate of a colour change. Because I said when I revealed this car, I never thought I wanted like a launch spec Challenge Stradale, a Rosso Scuderia car with the stripe and then this red and black interior. But the more time I spend with it, the more I kind of love it. I just adore this thing. It is exceeding every expectation. And just today, as I've got in and out of the car, I'm like, oh my God, that's my Stradale. So I'm not sitting here going, God, I wish it was blue or green or purple. I always used to say that my dream spec Stradale was a Rosso Corsa car with a tan leather interior, but I'm not even sure of that anymore. So, I think it's been useful information today. I feel like I can get the speakers, the sound system done relatively quickly, ready for future adventures. But the sticky buttons, they don't really bother me that much. It's something I'd like to do. And, as we've discovered, it's not really a sort of urgent need to fix the corrosion. And I don't really know what I would do if I was to paint this car. So yeah, I think I'm just going to sit tight. Go back to orders, see what else we can do just to get the car as dreamy as possible mechanically and just enjoy it for a bit longer. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the update. I wanted to share it all with you. Give it a thumbs up if you have and stay subscribed, because next weekend we're getting on a plane. Some international adventures ahead.